They went to sleep beneath glowing temples and towering stone walls. By morning, entire worlds were gone. Across ancient history, there are moments when thriving megacities, home to tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands, vanished almost instantly. No slow decline, no gradual abandonment, just sudden silence where crowds once filled the streets. Charred ruins buried under ash, palaces frozen in collapse, human remains trapped mid-escape. For centuries, scholars believed great civilizations only fell over generations. But archaeology has revealed something far more disturbing. Some of the ancient world's largest urban centers appear to have been wiped out in a single catastrophic moment. Cities that controlled trade empires, cities that ruled entire regions, cities that should have lasted centuries longer. Yet something struck so fast and so violently that recovery was impossible. Was it natural disaster on an unimaginable scale? Was it warfare more ruthless than ancient texts describe? Or did unknown forces reshape history overnight? Even today, researchers debate how societies so advanced, so organized, so powerful could be erased almost instantly. What kind of event can kill a civilization in a single night? And why does the evidence seem to repeat across continents and centuries? These megacities were not primitive settlements. They were complex machines of human organization, massive food distribution systems, sophisticated engineering, trade networks stretching thousands of miles, religious centers that unified entire populations. Some housed populations rivaling major European cities of the Middle Ages, centuries earlier than previously believed possible. Walls rose several stories high, roads were carefully planned, water systems fed tens of thousands daily. To outsiders, they must have seemed eternal. Yet beneath their stability, warning signs quietly accumulated. Climate shifts altered rainfall patterns, political rivalries intensified along trade routes, resources became harder to control as populations exploded. Ancient records speak of strange celestial events, of rivers changing course, of unrest within ruling classes. But life continued. Markets stayed open. Temples remained crowded. Construction never slowed. No evacuation plans, no defensive preparations. Archaeological layers show no long period of decline, only prosperity, followed by total destruction. The people believed their cities were protected by gods, walls, and wealth. They could not imagine collapse happening in hours instead of centuries. And so when disaster arrived, it found populations unprepared, concentrated, and trapped within stone boundaries. The same factors that made these cities powerful would soon make them extraordinarily vulnerable. Whatever was coming, it was fast. Too fast to escape. Too fast to rebuild. Too fast to understand. And the ground itself preserves the moment everything stopped. In some cities, everything burned. Thick ash layers blanket streets, homes, and temples, suggesting firestorms so intense that structures collapsed inward as people fled. In others, buildings appear violently shaken apart, walls fractured in unnatural patterns, as if struck by forces stronger than earthquakes alone. Skeletons lie where daily life ended, in doorways, beside cooking pots, in public squares. There is no evidence of long sieges, no gradual starvation, just instant devastation. Some scholars argue invading armies unleashed unprecedented destruction, slaughtering populations and setting entire urban centers ablaze in symbolic annihilation. Others believe massive natural catastrophes struck. Earthquakes combined with fires, sudden floods, volcanic fallout, or even atmospheric events powerful enough to ignite cities instantly. A growing group of researchers explores the possibility of cosmic airbursts. Massive explosions in the sky capable of producing shockwaves and firestorms across vast regions, leaving no crater but total ruin. Each theory fits parts of the evidence. None explains everything. What remains consistent is speed. These civilizations didn't fall. They were erased. Generations of knowledge vanished with them. Political systems collapsed overnight. Trade routes died instantly. The ancient world was reshaped in a matter of hours. And survivors, if any existed, would have believed the gods themselves had turned against humanity. The destruction of these megacities triggered chain reactions across entire regions. Empires fractured. Trade networks collapsed. Populations scattered into smaller, less complex societies. Technologies were lost. Urban planning knowledge disappeared. In some areas, it would take centuries before cities of comparable size emerged again. History, written by survivors and later civilizations, softened these collapses into myths, divine punishment, legendary wars, forgotten kingdoms. But the ground tells a colder truth. Something abrupt shattered the ancient world more than once. And humanity may have learned less from these catastrophes than we believe. Modern megacities now hold tens of millions. They rely on tightly connected systems just as fragile: power grids, food supply chains, transportation networks, digital infrastructure. We assume collapse would come slowly. Ancient people believed the same. Yet their cities died in a single moment. Were these disasters rare accidents of history, or recurring cycles of destruction humanity barely survives each time? And if entire civilizations once vanished overnight, what makes us so certain it couldn't happen again? When archaeologists began comparing destruction layers across ancient megacities, a disturbing pattern emerged. Though separated by oceans, cultures, and centuries, many ruins shared nearly identical signatures of catastrophe. Walls collapsed in the same directional forces. Cities burned at temperatures far higher than normal urban fires. Entire districts were destroyed simultaneously rather than street by street. In some locations, melted building materials suggest brief exposure to extreme heat, hotter than traditional warfare or household flames could easily produce. Even more unsettling, several sites show no evidence of prolonged rebuilding afterward, as if survivors were either too few or too traumatized to return. This challenges the comforting idea that ancient disasters were isolated. Instead, it hints at a world periodically struck by events far larger than local wars or simple natural misfortune. Climate records preserved in ice cores and sediment layers reveal sudden atmospheric disturbances aligning roughly with periods of urban collapse. Dust spikes, burn markers, abrupt temperature shifts. Some researchers propose that humanity's early cities may have unknowingly formed during an unstable phase of planetary history, when massive floods, seismic upheavals, and cosmic debris were more frequent than today. Others believe growing populations and environmental stress created perfect conditions for cascading destruction, where one catastrophe triggered another, turning regional crises into civilization-ending events. Yet official histories rarely reflect this instability. Ancient chroniclers often softened disasters into moral tales or erased them entirely, focusing instead on kings, conquests, and divine favor. But the ground does not mythologize. It preserves moments of terror, moments when everything stopped. And when these moments are aligned across continents, they suggest not coincidence, but recurrence. A hidden rhythm of collapse running beneath the rise of civilization itself. If these megacities were not unlucky exceptions, but part of a repeating historical cycle, then the ancient world may have been far more fragile than we ever imagined, and perhaps so is ours. What follows the sudden death of a megacity is not merely ruin, it is cultural amnesia. Languages vanish, technologies disappear, entire belief systems collapse into myth. After each ancient catastrophe, humanity seems to reset, rebuilding smaller, simpler, more cautious. Great urban planning is forgotten. Long-distance trade shrinks. Political structures fragment. It is as if survivors instinctively feared rebuilding too large again. Some scholars argue that early legends of great floods, fire from the sky, angry gods, and lost golden ages are distorted memories of these real collapses, passed down through generations who no longer understood what truly happened. Over time, catastrophe transformed into religion, destruction into divine warning, and historical truth into folklore. What remains terrifying is not just that these cities fell so quickly, it is how completely they vanished from human memory. Civilizations capable of engineering marvels disappeared so thoroughly that their existence was rediscovered only by accident thousands of years later. Buried beneath farms, hidden under deserts, swallowed by jungle. If not for modern archaeology, we would never know they existed at all. Which raises an unsettling thought. How many other megacities were destroyed so completely that no trace remains? How many chapters of human history ended overnight without ever being recorded? And if civilization has already collapsed suddenly multiple times before, are we living in the longest calm humanity has ever known? Or simply in the quiet before the next forgotten night of destruction?